Imagine a martial art uh, practiced by millions of people all over the world today. You know the exact scene I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You walk into a quiet city park early in the morning. The sun is like barely up, the dew is still on the grass, and there they are.
Right, dozens of people.
Dozens, maybe even hundreds, depending on what city you're in, moving in this slow, synchronized, almost hypnotic motion.
Mm-hmm.
They're wearing loose clothing, stepping really softly, pushing their hands through the air as if they're moving through water.
It's the ultimate picture of tranquility.
Exactly. It's universally known for health, for relaxation, for, finding a moment of zen or mental clarity before the stressful workday begins.
Yeah, that's the modern perception.
But what if I told you that this peaceful, slow-motion park routine actually harbors a hidden, incredibly intense, and frankly violent history?
It is a stark contrast, isn't it? I mean, when you look past the modern park exercises, you uncover a history filled with fugitive monks hiding out in mountain temples with bounties on their heads,
Wow.
elite royal bodyguards navigating the cutthroat imperial courts of China, and brutal bare-knuckle rooftop fights in post-war Hong Kong.
It's wild. So today we are going on a mission to trace the incredible, unbroken lineage of Tai Chi.
Right.
We're following a thread that starts in the mist-shrouded peaks of Wudang Mountains centuries ago and weaves its way all the way to the bustling concrete rooftops of Hong Kong after World War II.
And our guide for this deep dive into the source material is a truly fascinating primary record.
Yes, the personal notes, photographs, and combat manuals compiled by a man named Cheng Tin Hung.
Yeah, and we should clarify, this isn't just a dry list of stretches or a health pamphlet.
Not at all.
We are looking at a deeply philosophical treatise combined with an uncompromising, gritty combat manual.
Exactly. And by examining these records, we are going to trace not just the who of this lineage, but the why.
The why is the most important part.
How the ancient philosophy of the I Ching directly dictated the physical, often lethal movements of generations of martial arts masters.
We're going to see how survival shaped a practice that so many today just view as a gentle stretch.
So whether you have dabbled in Tai Chi yourself, or watched it from a park bench and wondered what they were actually doing, or you just love a good historical mystery,
Yeah.
I promise you this deep dive will completely shatter your preconceptions about what it means to be soft but strong.
It really will.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where exactly does this story begin? Because it certainly doesn't start in a modern municipal park.
No, not at all. It starts in isolation. It begins with a figure named Zhang Sanfeng.
Okay.
He was a Taoist monk who retired from official bureaucratic life back in the 13th or 14th century.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, and looking at the historical notes in our sources, his steps are traced specifically to a 9-year period spent meditating and practicing at Wudang Mountain.
Around the year 1324 A.D.
Yeah, exactly. And later teaching Taoist practitioners at the Baoji Jintai Temple.
Wait, a 9-year period just on a mountain?
Yeah.
That is a massive commitment. What is a retired official doing spending a decade isolated on a peak?
He was seeking an understanding of the natural order. In Taoist practice, retreating from the artificial structures of human bureaucracy to observe nature and internal energy, that's a core pursuit.
Okay, that makes sense.
He was observing the mechanics of the universe and trying to map them onto the human body. And what's fascinating here is how the source material directly addresses and actually emphatically disputes one of the most famous legends about what he supposedly discovered on that mountain.
Oh, you mean the famous snake and bird story?
That's the one.
I feel like anyone who has ever looked up the history of martial arts or even just watched a kung fu movie has heard this one.
It's everywhere.
The legend always goes that Zhang Sanfeng was looking out a window of his temple, or maybe walking in the misty mountains, and he saw a bird attacking a snake.
Right.
And he noticed how the snake didn't meet the bird's hard, sharp beak with hard, rigid force. Instead, it used its soft, twisting, yielding movements to evade the strikes.
Exhausting the bird.
Exactly, exhausting it and eventually overcoming it. It's a great visual.
It is.
It perfectly encapsulates that idea of soft overcoming hard, which is what everyone associates with Tai Chi.
Yeah.
But looking at these records from Cheng Tin Hung, he basically says that story is complete nonsense, right?
Yeah, he dismisses it entirely.
He throws a massive wrench into that romantic narrative.
He does, and his reasoning is incredibly sound. He argues that while the snake metaphor makes a certain amount of superficial sense to a beginner,
Because snakes have those incredibly strong, flexible spines.
right, which mirrors Tai Chi's reliance on waist and spinal power. But it's ultimately a misunderstanding of the art's true, profound roots.
It diminishes it.
Exactly. It diminishes the scope of what the martial art is actually doing. He points out that Tai Chi is not named after an animal at all.
Right.
It is named after the Taiji, a foundational philosophical concept from the I Ching, or the Book of Changes.
And the I Ching is essentially the bedrock of Chinese philosophy, right? It's all about hexagrams and the constant state of flux in the universe.
Precisely. It maps out the interactions of yin and yang. And in the I Ching, specifically in the Qian hexagram, which is the very first hexagram, representing ultimate yang energy, heaven, and pure dynamic power, the primary metaphor used is not a snake.
What is it?
It is a dragon.
A dragon. See, that totally changes the mental image of what this martial art is trying to achieve.
It completely reframes it.
Think about it mechanically for a second. A snake is essentially flat.
Right.
It slithers on a two-dimensional plane along the ground. It can coil and strike forward, sure, but it's bound to the earth.
Very limited.
A mythical Chinese dragon, on the other hand, is completely dynamic. It can fly through the clouds. It can swim in the deepest oceans.
It can twist and coil and move in all three dimensions simultaneously.
Exactly. It commands the sky, the water, and the earth.
And that distinction between 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions is everything in Tai Chi combat. When you visualize the mechanics of a high-level practitioner, the way the body rises and sinks, the way the arms spiral while the waist turns, constantly shifting the center of gravity while simultaneously moving forward or backward.
It's extremely complex.
It is. It looks vastly more like a multidimensional twisting dragon than a flat, slithering snake.
Wow.
You aren't just slipping to the side of a punch like a snake dodging a beak. You are spiraling around the incoming force, moving underneath it, and uncoiling into the opponent all at the same time.
So it's not just dodging, it's enveloping.
Precisely. That three-dimensional spherical movement is the physical manifestation of Taoist philosophy. The records reference Laozi's Tao Te Ching, specifically the concept that the softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest.
Right.
But we need to be very clear here, because modern interpretations often get this wrong. The goal of the practice isn't just to be soft for the sake of being limp or weak.
It isn't about collapsing under pressure.
Right. If someone throws a heavy punch at you and you are just limp, you're going to get knocked out.
Yes, softness alone doesn't win a fight.
It guarantees a loss. The specific phrase used to describe the true goal is yin and yang in harmony.
Yin yang shang ji.
Yes. It's about a dynamic equilibrium. Think of water. Water is incredibly soft. You can put your hand right through it.
Sure.
But a waterfall can carve through solid rock over time. A tsunami can level a city.
That's a great analogy.
The practitioner aims to cultivate a yielding exterior that conceals an unstoppable internal momentum. You aren't just yielding to an attack, you are absorbing it into a structure that can handle the load.
Redirecting the angle of that force.
And returning it. It is an incredibly sophisticated biomechanical and philosophical foundation.
It really is. It's mind-blowing to think that this complex integration of ancient I Ching hexagrams, Taoist philosophy, and three-dimensional biomechanics started with monks practicing in the isolation of mountain temples.
Operating a biomechanics lab in a monastery, basically.
Exactly. But a practice this powerful, this effective, rarely stays hidden in the mountains forever. People talk, word spreads. And that brings us to the next massive shift in our timeline. How did this mountain monastic practice make its way down into the highly structured, highly political, and incredibly dangerous world of the Chinese royal court?
It is a massive leap.
Because moving from a misty peak to the emperor's palace is a completely different universe.
Geographically, culturally, and politically. And it didn't happen overnight. The lineage traces a very specific, unbroken path to explain this migration.
Who are the key players?
From those mountain Taoists, the knowledge was passed down over generations to a master from Shanxi named Wang Zhongyu. Wang is a pivotal figure in this history because he is credited with writing the famous Tai Chi Chuan treatise.
And why is that treatise so important? Were they not writing things down before this?
For the most part, no. These were oral traditions passed secretly from master to disciple through physical correction and spoken metaphor. By codifying these oral traditions into a written philosophy, Wang Zhongyu created a blueprint that could be studied and preserved.
So we put it on paper.
Yes. From Wang, the lineage traveled down through a succession of dedicated masters, Jingfa, then Xingxuai, and then to a man named Chen Changxing.
Okay.
And it is Chen Changxing who eventually takes on a student named Yang Luchen.
Yang Luqing. Okay. Looking at the historical records we have, this is the guy who really blows the doors off the whole
It
thing.
absolutely does.
He is the catalyst for Tai Chi becoming a phenomenon. Yang Luqian takes this art, which has been simmering in the provinces and mountains, and brings it straight to Beijing.
The political and cultural center of the empire.
And he doesn't just teach it quietly in a backyard, he becomes incredibly famous.
Mm.
The records use a great historical phrase, Yuman Jinghua, which basically translates to his reputation filling the entire capital.
Yes, he was renowned throughout Beijing for his undefeated combat skills.
He wasn't known as a health guru. He was known as a fighter you simply could not touch.
And that kind of fame in the capital inevitably attracts the attention of the ruling class. You have to remember the atmosphere of the Qing dynasty in Beijing at this time.
Very intense.
It was a martial culture, obsessed with security, status, and power. Yang Luchen's martial prowess was so undeniable that he was hired by Prince Chun, who was the brother of the Guangxu emperor, to teach Tai Chi to the royal family.
Wow.
This is the exact moment Tai Chi officially transitions from a provincial, secretive art to the elite martial art of the imperial court.
But introducing a martial artist from the provinces into the imperial palace brings a whole host of complications.
Oh, absolutely.
This is also where the strict, rigid social protocols of the Qing dynasty accidentally create a fascinating divergence in the martial arts lineage, right?
It's one of the most bizarre and intriguing historical anomalies in martial arts history.
Let's get into it.
Prince Chun, naturally, wanted his absolute best men to learn from this undefeated master. He had 3 top bodyguards, Ling Shan, who was Manchu, Quan Yu, who was Mongol, and Wan Fu, who was Han.
Okay, the top guys.
Right. He orders them to undergo training with Yang Luchen. But there's a massive, insurmountable bureaucratic problem that arises from this order.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because court etiquette essentially forces the creation of an entirely new style of Tai Chi.
Exactly.
The prince wants his guards to have the best training, but he hits a wall with HR, basically. Explain this generational rule to us, because to a modern listener, it sounds absurd. Why couldn't they just go to class?
To understand this, we need an analogy. Imagine the CEO of a massive Fortune 500 company decides to take a highly specialized master class from a famous consultant.
Okay.
The CEO loves the class so much that he orders his 3 junior interns to also take the class from the exact same consultant.
Sure.
In our modern world, that's just good business. But in the Qing dynasty, generational rules and hierarchy were not just polite suggestions. They were rigid, absolute laws governing every social interaction, punishable by severe consequence.
Because it's about saving face and maintaining the divine hierarchy of the court.
Exactly. Because Prince Chun himself had bowed to Yang Luchen as a student, Yang Luchen was considered his master. They established a specific generational dynamic.
They were locked into those roles.
By the strict rules of the era, if the 3 bodyguards also formally bowed to Yang Luchen, they would technically become martial brothers with the prince.
Oh, wow.
They would share the same generational rank in the lineage.
Which is a huge problem.
It's a catastrophic protocol failure. For imperial bodyguards, who were servants of the court, paid to protect and take orders, to be placed on the exact same hierarchical level as a royal prince, the emperor's brother, was a severe violation of Qing dynasty etiquette.
You just couldn't do it.
It blurred the lines of authority in a society where authority was everything.
It's just such a bizarre collision of deadly martial arts and stuffy royal bureaucracy.
It really is.
The prince is saying, I want my guards to be lethal, but the court protocol is saying, yes, but they absolutely cannot call you bro at the training hall.
Aha, exactly.
They needed a loophole. How do you get the training without breaking the law of the court?
The loophole they engineered was brilliant in its bureaucratic simplicity. Instead of bowing to Yang Luchen, the 3 bodyguards were instructed to formally bow to Yang Luchen's son, Yang Banhu.
Ah, the son.
By taking the son as their official master, the bodyguards were placed 1 generation lower than the prince in the martial lineage.
That's so clever.
The prince was the student of the father, the guards were the students of the son, the necessary court etiquette was preserved, and face was saved.
But that simple bureaucratic fix actually changed the physical art itself, didn't it?
It did. This singular political protocol is what ultimately led to a divergence in the lineage.
Oh, so?
One of those bodyguards, Quan Yu, the Mongol, took what he learned and passed it down to his son, Wu Jianquan. And Wu Jianquan eventually became the founder of what is now known all over the world as the Wu style of Tai Chi.
No way.
Yes. Looking at the history, a simple matter of maintaining imperial phase literally birthed a distinct branch of martial arts that millions of people practice today.
It's incredible. You have this highly visible aristocratic branch of Tai Chi flourishing in the palaces of Beijing,
Yeah.
shaping the Yang and Wu styles, refining their movements for the elite.
Very public.
But while all this is happening in the bright lights of the capital under the watchful eye of the emperor, our source records reveal that a much darker, completely secret lineage was forming in the absolute shadows.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is a perfect real-world illustration of yin and yang.
I see where you're going with this.
The visible, celebrated court style, practiced by princes and well-fed bodyguards, was the yang. It was out in the open.
Right.
But there was a hidden yin lineage developing simultaneously, born not out of court protocol, but out of violence, desperation, and the sheer necessity of survival.
Survive.
The records introduce us to a man named Wang Lanting. He was a highly skilled direct student of Yang Luchin, the exact same master who was teaching the royal court.
But Wang Lanting's life takes a drastically different path than his master's comfortable life in Beijing.
A very dark path.
The records outline a really dramatic, violent turn of events. Wang Lanting ended up killing several Manchurians.
Yes.
Now, without taking any sides on the historical politics of the era, the fact is the Manchurians were the ruling class of the Qing dynasty at the time.
You do not kill members of the ruling class and walk away.
Right. Overnight, this elite martial artist, trained by the most famous teacher in the capital, becomes a wanted fugitive with a massive target on his back.
To survive, he has to completely erase his identity. He can't just move to another town. The empire is too vast and too connected.
So what does he do?
He shaves his head, flees deep into the mountains, and hides out in a monastery, living disguised as a Buddhist monk. He takes the monastic name Fajing.
And this act of going into hiding, of becoming a fugitive monk, is what preserves a very different raw flavor of Tai Chi.
Absolutely.
As the monk Fajing, he couldn't practice openly in a courtyard. He wasn't teaching princes or trying to look graceful for the court. He was looking over his shoulder every single day.
He was a man hunted by the state. He passed his knowledge on in absolute secrecy to another monk at the temple, a man named Jingyi.
Okay.
Jingyi then taught a man named Timing Suan, who was also known by his Taoist name, Zi Meng. This is the hidden transmission. This is the yin lineage.
You can just imagine the contrast.
Yeah.
In Beijing, they are refining the art. Maybe they're adjusting the postures to look more elegant or focusing heavily on the health benefits for the aging aristocrats.
Smoothing out the rough edges.
Exactly. But for a fugitive monk hiding in a monastery with a bounty on his head, the priorities are completely inverted.
There is zero emphasis on looking graceful.
Promoting longevity is only relevant in the sense of surviving the next 5 minutes if the imperial guards kick down the temple doors.
Exactly. What does a survival martial art actually look like compared to a court martial art? When you are fighting for your life, there are no rules of engagement.
Right, it's brutal.
The records make it very clear that the martial applications, the specific mechanics required to shatter bones, tear ligaments, and strike vital points to end a confrontation instantly, were preserved fiercely in this underground lineage. The environment dictated the evolution of the art.
It's natural selection applied to martial arts.
Precisely. If a technique was merely decorative, it was discarded. If a stance was too wide for a narrow temple hallway, it was modified.
That makes total sense.
The aristocratic branch became more visible, celebrated, and perhaps more stylized over time, while the fugitive branch remained raw, hidden, explicitly violent, and highly practical.
Which brings our timeline rocketing forward out of the ancient Qing dynasty through the fall of the empire and into the modern era.
Fast forward.
Because this hidden, gritty, monastic lineage doesn't stay in the mountains forever. It eventually travels south, making its way to the chaotic, rapidly modernizing streets of Hong Kong.
And this sets the stage for the main figure of our source material, the man who actually wrote these records, Cheng Tinhung.
Tell us about him.
The history tells us that Cheng Tinhung was originally from Zhongshan in Guangdong province. He moved to Hong Kong around the time of the Second World War, navigating the intense turmoil of that era, and returned to the city after the war ended.
Hong Kong at this time is a massive cultural melting pot.
Huge. During his early years, he began his martial arts training under his uncle, Cheng Wing-kwang.
And his uncle is a very interesting connection to the past we just discussed.
Yes, his uncle was a successful, wealthy businessman in Hong Kong, who had actually learned the Wu style of Tai Chi directly from Wu Jianquan.
The founder of the Wu style.
Remember, Wu Jianquan was the descendant of Kuan Yu, that royal Mongol bodyguard who had to bow to the master's son.
So Cheng Tinhung is initially learning the more visible, refined, aristocratic Wu style from his wealthy uncle. He is getting the Yang side of the lineage.
Exact.
But looking at Cheng Tinhung's own notes, as a young man, he is plagued by serious doubts. And I totally get it. He is practicing these soft, slow, beautiful movements, but he is living in post-war Hong Kong.
A rough place.
He is looking around at other martial artists, people practicing hard, aggressive, fast-hitting styles like Choi Li Fut or Western boxing, and he is constantly wondering, how on earth could this soft art possibly defend against a real aggressive attack?
It's a fair question.
If someone throws a massive, full-speed haymaker at my head, how does moving slowly like water stop my jaw from getting broken?
His skepticism is incredibly rational, and it's a skepticism that almost every modern observer shares when they first see Tai Chi.
Right.
He was reading the old treatises like Wang Zongyu's classic writings, which boldly claim Tai Chi is invincible, that it allows a practitioner to use a 4-ounce force to deflect 1,000 pounds.
That's the famous saying.
But he openly questioned these ancient texts because he just didn't see how the slow-flowing forms he was learning translated into actual chaotic combat.
It's the difference between theory and reality.
Yeah.
He was caught in a philosophical conflict. He was learning the modern, health-oriented, refined perception of Tai Chi, but he was reading the ancient martial promises of the texts, and there was a massive disconnect.
He felt like he was only holding half the puzzle.
However, in 1946, a fateful encounter changed the entire trajectory of his life and the history of the art itself.
His uncle, Cheng Wing-kwang, being a well-connected man, received a letter from a friend in the north of China. The letter asked him to host and provide lodging for a visiting martial artist in Hong Kong.
And who was that visitor?
That visitor was Qi Mingxuan.
Wait, Qi Mingxuan. Zi Meng! That's the heir to the secret fugitive monk lineage.
Exactly. The yin and the yang lineages were about to collide in Hong Kong.
The uncle takes his skeptical nephew to meet this mysterious northern master. And Cheng Tinhung, who has been doubting the effectiveness of Tai Chi for years, is absolutely blown away by Qi Mingxuan's actual terrifying combat ability.
He sees it firsthand.
He realizes immediately that this man possesses the missing half of the puzzle. He immediately asks to become his disciple.
And they realized pretty quickly that the crowded, noisy city of Hong Kong wasn't suitable for the kind of training required.
So they leave.
So they retreated to the quiet, isolated, rugged parts of the territory, specifically the remote mountains of Lantau Island.
And the training environment was unique, not just because of the geographic isolation, but because of a literal, profound language barrier.
Yes. Qi Mingxuan spoke a northern dialect, and Cheng Tinhung spoke Cantonese. The historical notes indicate that initially they couldn't even speak to each other.
How do you learn a highly complex internal martial art from a guy you can't even talk to?
You rely on the written word and physical sensation. They had to communicate by writing traditional Chinese characters on pieces of paper, or even just tracing them in the dirt with a stick.
That is incredible dedication.
They did that until they eventually spent enough time together to learn enough of each other's dialects to converse. Out there on Lantau Island, in the quiet isolation, they formed a deep, almost father-son bond, dedicating themselves entirely to the physical transmission of this hidden knowledge.
But I want to ensure we paint the right picture here. This wasn't peaceful park practice. They weren't just doing synchronized breathing on a beach.
Far from it.
The records describe the training as absolutely grueling. Qi Mingxuan basically tells Cheng Tinhung, look, everything you've learned so far from your uncle is incomplete.
He tears down his foundation.
He teaches him that without a concept called Nai Gong, which translates to internal power, all the physical techniques, all the beautiful postures are just, I love this poetic phrase from the text, flowery fists and embroidered legs.
Flowery fists and embroidered legs. It means they might look pretty in a performance, but they have absolutely zero stopping power in a life-or-death fight.
Right. So Qi Mingxuan puts Chang through intense, agonizing conditioning. He trains him in San Shou, which is full-contact, brutal combat sparring, and Nai Gong.
The internal power.
But help us understand this, because internal power sounds very mystical. It sounds like he's shooting energy balls from his hands. What is Nai Gong actually, in a physical, biomechanical sense?
This is a critical juncture in understanding the history, and the records outline it beautifully. True Tai Chi, according to the lineage, is actually composed of 8 distinct elements.
Wait, 8? Because when I think of Tai Chi, I just think of the one thing, the slow routine.
Exactly, and that is the core of the misunderstanding. The 8 elements are the solo form, which is what you see in the park, pushing hands, a sensitivity drill with a partner-free, sparring, actual combat, tumbling learning to fall and recover, internal power Naigong, and then the weapons,
Which are?
the broadsword, the sword, and the spear. What Timinchuan was explaining to Cheng Tin-hung is that the vast majority of people only ever learn the first element, the solo form.
Just the choreography.
Right, and because they only have 1/8 of the system, they naturally cannot use it to fight.
It's like trying to win a Formula One race, but you only ever learn how to adjust the mirrors.
Perfect analogy. The Nidon, the internal power conditioning, is the engine. It is what changes the soft movements from mere stretching into a dense, heavy, resilient force.
So it's not magic.
To answer your question about the biomechanics, Naigon is not magic. It is the supreme mastery of structural alignment, fascial tension, and diaphragmatic breathing.
Okay, building the structure.
Yeah. It is training the body's connective tissues to act like a complex system of springs and shock absorbers. Through agonizingly slow, loaded postures and specific breathing exercises, the practitioner learns to connect their feet to their hands so that when they are struck, the force doesn't damage the local muscle.
Where does the force go?
It is routed through the fascia, down the skeleton, and into the ground. And when they strike, they aren't just using the muscle of the arm, they are releasing the elastic tension of the entire grounded body structure at once.
So what does this all mean for our guy, Cheng Tin-hung?
It means he's finally got the tools.
It means he finally has the complete puzzle. He has the elegant structural foundation from his uncle's Wu style, and he now has the brutal hidden combat applications and internal power engine from the fugitive monk lineage.
The yin and the yang united.
He integrates them. And it doesn't take long for him to put this ancient, synthesized knowledge to the ultimate test in the real world, because post-war Hong Kong was a martial arts Wild West.
Completely unregulated.
This leads us directly to the era of rooftop challenges and full-contact tournaments.
The records detail Cheng Tin-hung's rapid rise as a formidable, feared fighter in Hong Kong. It wasn't just theory anymore. He was applying the mountain monastic secrets against active, aggressive challengers.
Like who?
A prominent example cited in his history occurred in 1948. A very aggressive martial arts instructor named Zhu Jinrong, who commanded a large group of followers and practiced a hard external style, issued a direct public challenge to Cheng Tin-hung.
It was a turf war, essentially.
Yes. They arranged to fight on the pitch of the South China Athletic Association.
I can just picture this scene. It's 1948. The martial arts scene in Hong Kong is incredible territorial, highly competitive, and largely unregulated.
Oh, yeah, hundreds of people watching.
Zhu Jinrong shows up with his men, probably expecting to easily roll over this guy who practices what he thinks are park stretches.
Big mistake.
But the records say Cheng Tin-hung didn't just win. He easily defeated Zhu Jinrong. He systematically dismantled him.
When Zhu attacked with hard, fast strikes, Cheng didn't block them rigidly.
He used the Tai Chi principles.
He used the borrowing force techniques of Tai Chi, combined with the dense Neigong, to absorb the strikes, uproot Zhu's balance, and throw him around like a rag doll.
Showing this aggressive fighter the terrifying reality of Tai Chi combat when the internal power is fully activated.
And his reputation in the martial arts community only grew from there. The records highlight a major milestone a decade later, in 1957.
What happened in 57?
Cheng Tin-hung participated in a massive Taiwan-Hong Kong-Macau martial arts tournament. This wasn't a point sparring match. This was a brutal full-contact event.
Very high stakes.
Cheng was matched against the reigning 3-time martial arts champion of Taiwan, a very dangerous fighter named Yu Wen-tung. And again, Cheng famously defeated him.
Against a 3-time champion. How? Did he abandon Tai Chi and just start boxing?
Not at all. He won precisely because he adhered to the principles. He wasn't using hard blocks or stiff linear punches.
He was yielding.
Yielding, neutralizing, and using the explosive returning force of Tai Chi to overcome a larger aggressive champion. He let Yu Wen-tung overextend, found the empty spaces in his balance, and unleashed the internal power.
But what I love most about the history of Cheng Tin-hung is that he didn't just use these lethal skills for tournament glory or personal ego.
No, he was deeply committed to his people.
He used them for his community. The records describe how he earned the nickname the Tai Chi Bodyguard.
It's a great title.
Back in those days in Hong Kong, older folks practicing the slow Tai Chi forms in the public parks were frequently harassed, mocked, or even physically bullied by practitioners of other, harder martial arts styles who wanted to claim the space or to show off their toughness.
It was bullying, plain and simple.
Right. And whenever Cheng Tin-hung heard about this happening, he would personally go to those parks. He would step in front of the elders, challenge the bullies directly, and easily dispatch them.
He defended this.
He literally protected the Tai Chi community and their right to practice in peace with his fists.
Which raises an important question, one that is central to the underlying philosophy of all the records we are looking at today. How does a master balance the ultimate Taoist goal of peace, health, and harmony with the literal physical violence required to defend the art and protect the community?
It seems like a paradox.
Cheng Tin-hung's success wasn't magic, and it wasn't a contradiction of Taoism. It was the careful reintegration of Qi Mingsuan's lethal combat techniques with the health-promoting forms. He proved that to truly understand the soft, to truly be peaceful, you must be intimately capable of the hard.
You cannot have the yin without the yang.
Exactly. A sword kept in its sheath is peaceful. A man who has no sword is just defenseless.
There's an amazing anecdote in history that perfectly illustrates this dense, protective internal power he built, this sword in the sheath.
Oh, the 1951 test.
Yes, in 1951, a group of foreign journalists, including some prominent reporters from the United States, were in Hong Kong. They had heard local rumors about this internal power and naturally were highly skeptical.
It sounds like mysticism to a Western journalist.
So they arrange a meeting with Cheng Tin-hung, and they ask to test it. Now, Cheng doesn't ask to spar them. He simply stands there, roots himself to the floor, and invites these full-grown men to punch him in the stomach as hard as they physically can.
And according to the historical record, they took him up on the offer.
They actually hit him.
They took turns winding up and striking him in the abdomen with full force. But instead of Cheng doubling over in pain or having the wind knocked out of him, the notes indicate that his conditioned Neigong acted like a highly inflated, heavy-duty truck tire.
Okay, stop there. Explain the inflated tire physics, because again, it sounds like magic. How does a stomach bounce a fist away?
It comes back to what we discussed about fascial tension and diaphragmatic pressure. When an untrained person gets punched in the stomach, their abdominal wall caves in, compressing the organs and the diaphragm, which forces the air out of the lungs.
Getting the wind knocked out of you.
Yes, Cheng Tin-hung had spent years practicing deep intra-abdominal pressure breathing. When he braced for the impact, he wasn't just flexing his abs, he was expanding his diaphragm downward and his abdominal wall outward, creating an incredibly dense, pressurized cylinder of fluid and muscle in his core.
Like a hydraulic press.
Exactly. When the journalist's fists hit that pressurized cylinder, the force had nowhere to go. The tissue was so dense and the structure so perfectly aligned with the ground that the kinetic energy of the punch was instantly rebounded back into the attacker's hands.
Wow.
The journalists were physically bounced off his stomach, their wrists jarring from the impact, leaving them absolutely astounded. The internal pressure he could generate through his Taoist breathing and Neigong practices made his soft tissue react with the density of iron.
It's the ultimate proof of concept for everything we've unpacked today. From the mythical, three-dimensional twisting dragons of the I Ching, down through the elite, hyper-restrictive royal courts of the Qing dynasty, into the desperate, violent, survivalist shadows of the fugitive monks, and finally exploding onto the chaotic rooftops and tournament rings of modern Hong Kong.
It's a continuous line.
Cheng Tin-hung took all of it. The philosophy, the form, the lethal application, the 8 distinct elements, and proved it worked in the modern world.
He preserved the complete system.
He even went on to train the secret weapon fighters for Hong Kong's national martial arts team, guys like Chan Wufu, who used these exact internal methods to dominate international full-contact tournaments.
Passing the torch.
And eventually, he cemented his legacy by organizing a massive 10,000-people Tai Chi performance in 1994, bringing the art full circle, returning the health and philosophical benefits back to the masses on a grand scale.
It is a remarkable, almost unbelievable journey of preservation. The records of Cheng Tin-hung serve as a vital historical bridge. They document how a philosophical concept of yielding and balance was tested and forged in the crucible of life-or-death combat, ensuring that the complete art, not just the solo form, but all 8 elements, survived into the 20th century.
So to you, the listener, the next time you are walking through a park on a misty morning and you see someone moving slowly, pushing their hands through the air, looking perfectly at peace, I want you to look a little closer.
Look at the details.
Look at the way they shift their weight from leg to leg. Look at the subtle rotation of their waist. They might just be a busy accountant looking for a little morning relaxation before commute.
Most likely.
But The structural mechanics they are practicing, the alignment of the spine, the sinking of the hips, are the exact same defensive mechanics that a fugitive monk relied on to survive against armed guards centuries ago.
The lineage is there.
The brutal history of survival is hidden right there in plain sight, wrapped in a comfortable blanket of slow motion.
And tracing that history leaves us with a critical, perhaps unsettling thought to consider about how we learn today.
What's that?
The source text distinguishes sharply between a fitness instructor and a Tai Chi expert. Chang Tin Hung only acquired the true, lethal depth of this art because he retreated to an isolated island without even a shared spoken language and spent agonizing, silent years physically absorbing the knowledge from Ki Ming-Swin's body to his own.
An unbroken physical transmission.
Exactly. Today, we live in an era where we digitize everything. We learn martial arts from quick video clips, we download meditation apps, we consume knowledge in rapid, fragmented bites through screens.
It's all about optimization now.
Right. It makes you wonder, as we increasingly try to optimize, sanitize, and extract just the health benefits from ancient practices, what essential truths do we lose when we strip away the martial, gritty, survivalist roots of those traditions? In our rush to digitize the ancient world, are we just left with flowery fists, or can we still find the dragon hidden inside?